Welcome to Night's Arcade, I'm Sleepless Night, and I've been playing Chivalry 2 Beta over the past weekend. Up front, I need to say that I never got around to playing the first one, so I have no basis for comparison, but I've played this one for about 8 hours at the time of writing this, and I have enjoyed the experience so far. I am not normally a fan of first-person multiplayer combat games. I played Call of Duty in the dim and distant past, but had grown tired of that by World War in 2008, and although I have occasionally dipped my toe in the water since then, I have invariably found it to be cold, fetid green water full of little wriggly things that were keen to bite off my toes to underline the message that I simply did not belong in there. Yeah! Chivalry 2 developers Torn Banner, then, have pulled off something quite remarkable in creating a multiplayer combat game that I simply couldn't put down, despite there being only 2 maps and 2 modes in the closed beta. I play mainly on an Xbox Series X because my PC is not up to the task of both playing and streaming most games at the same time, so I asked for an Xbox key and was excited about a cross-play multiplayer combat game which perhaps didn't favour mouse and keyboard players quite as much as shooters tend to. But there is archery in this game. And although I haven't yet tested the game on the PC myself, there are other elements of the combat which I think will still favour those with mouse movement available to them. For instance, the way to make the most of a heavy attack is to turn your hips as you swing and really throw your body weight into a heavy attack. And while this is perfectly possible with a controller, I imagine a mouse makes it slightly easier. A perfect parry, too, requires you to block the tip of the incoming weapon rather than just mashing the block button, which is considerably more difficult with a thumbstick. The great thing about Chivalry 2, though, is that I was having too much fun to care about any of that stuff. When swords are clashing and the limbs start flying, it's really difficult to see who seems to be moving most fluidly, let alone to care. This time around, Chivalry will allow battles of up to 64 players, and choke points in castle sieges become so clogged with bodies that it's sometimes tough to tell who's who as everyone piles into the jam, mashing the heavy attack button as they smack into the heap. When people are either covered in blood or on fire, it becomes almost impossible to discern friend from foe, and even when you can see which ones you're supposed to be killing and which healing, actually doing that without chopping one of your mate's arms off is a skill that I saw very few players bothering to master. Team damage is definitely a thing in Chivalry 2, and killing theirs while avoiding your own is easily one of the biggest challenges in the game. The combat is very much more nuanced than I was expecting, and I'm fairly sure most people will need to do the tutorial several times if they really want to master combat and all that it has to offer. Learning to swing without overswinging and timing your attacks, blocks, combos and specials requires quite a lot of practice, and there are 4 different classes and 3 different ranks within those classes, each with their own weapons and special attacks. Whether or not there will be more classes or more ranks to each class when the game releases, I have no idea, but there's certainly a lot to choose from even at this stage, so you'll need to experiment a bit to find your comfort zone. The humour certainly prevents you from taking this game too seriously, or at least tries to. It's always going to be difficult to get through the hard-nosed exterior of the people who play games like this 14 hours a day and spend their few toilet breaks on their phones leaving unpleasant comments telling the developers to burn in hell because the arterial blood in their game is slightly the wrong shade of red. But when someone charges towards you wielding a fish or a pumpkin or screaming fierce battle cries like, "This is my birthday!" you can't tell me they don't occasionally crack a smile. Besides, if anyone can burn in hell, it's the archers. Retreat! Retreat! The game never lets you get above your station. It's a game. And if you've momentarily forgotten that, then perhaps being decapitated and then watching on the corpse cam as your assailant picks up your severed head and throws it at one of your teammates might bring you back down to earth, if only for a moment. Chivalry 2 will allow cross-platform play from launch, although closed beta has highlighted some issues with parties, particularly on PS5, which we are assured Torn Banner are working on. Cross-platform parties, however, may not arrive on launch day, though, once again, Torn Banner assure us that they know it's a priority and they will get that feature out as soon as they are able. This game should be fun no matter what happens. I'm an Englishman and a professional voiceover artist, and if I can get past whatever insane, ludicrous accent this person is trying to do...
Each subclass has unique special items which charge over time and perform specific actions unique to each class.
I'm sure you can as well. Chivalry 2 is a noisy, bloody, visceral experience, and the superbly balanced audio, visual and controller feedbacks combine perfectly to make you feel like you're really doing damage. And being damaged. I have absolutely loved the short time I managed to play in the beta, and I can't wait to be able to play this with friends when it releases on all platforms from June the 8th. That's all from me, but if you want to catch up with me elsewhere, you can find links to the Knights Arcade Discord, Twitter, Facebook and Patreon accounts in the video description, as well as in the Knights Arcade channel header, or catch my live streams right here on YouTube every Wednesday and Saturday. If you don't want to do any of those things, but you liked this video, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more from me in the future, and ring the bell to be notified whenever I post new content. But until next time, from Knights Arcade, this is Sleepless Night, saying nighty-night.